People are always asking me, what do you want to see in the DLC? And people have been asking me so much that I decided to make a couple different videos, basically just outlining my wish list. For part one, honestly, I think I'm just going to talk about things that I want to see in the game generally as we currently have it. Many people have said this already, but the thing that I would really like to see is 6-player invasions. Not having 6 players has really killed the culture of fight clubs, and I would love to see fight clubs come back in Elden Ring. As well, there's just a notoriously really bad ganking issue where it's basically non-stop 3v1s as an invader, which is just less fun than how things were in Dark Souls 3. So I would really like to see that changed. I know that there are all these technical issues. People say like, oh, it's them like making sure that PlayStation 4s can hold up. I just figure it out, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's like really important for game balance. I want them to figure it out. I think having 4v2s in invasions would be really sweet. Having the potential to have more co-invasions, I think, is really good for the PvP community. A lot of people are just siloed and kind of doing their own things because it's really hard to collaborate with other people, do co-invasions, intentionally try and invade with someone else is very, very hard. So FromSoft, please, 6-player limit. Along with the player count changes, what I would really like to see are changes to Taunters Tongue. So the first thing that I think needs to be said about Taunters Tongue is that the way it currently works, the rate that you get invaded at when you have Taunters Tongue is very, very, very high. And it seems to be intended for a very intense PvP experience, where people are constantly invading you, and it seems like the cooldown is not very long at all. Like in the few times that I've done Taunters Tongue runs, it's just been non-stop invasions. So I personally think that the frequency should be turned down, but also that a few other elements should be changed. Like personally, I think Taunters Tongue should be something that you can only activate and deactivate while sitting at a grace like this. So it would mean that you actually need opportunities to sit at a grace like this to turn it off and on again. As well, when you are taunted or invaded at big doors like this or transitions between areas, there are often giant fog walls that prevent you from progressing naturally in PvE, which really interrupts the flow of a PvE Taunters Tongue run. So I would really like to see there be a mechanic where you can progress into these next areas. Maybe you run up to the fog wall, hit there's an activate command, and then like after 60 seconds you're allowed to go through, and then instead of just banishing the invader home, maybe it resummons the invader in the new area, something like that. The idea being that if you are Taunters Tongued up, if you kill the invader and there's no more invaders in your world, you have an opportunity to sit at your grace and turn off the Taunters Tongue. It actually forces you into a point where you do need to kill every invader in your world, but then you do need an actual opportunity to be able to turn it off again, right? So that's a balance that they would need to figure out, but it's something I'd really like to see. One of the main reasons we'd like to see this is that currently it's just too easy for people to activate Taunters Tongue and then deactivate it as soon as one person gets in. And one of the big features of Taunters Tongue is that it allows for 2 invaders into your world. And as it currently exists, Taunters Tongue is the only way to have a co-invader, and that is really frustrating for the state of the game. Personally, I would like to see it that you can get invaded by 2 invaders just naturally. Even if you're co-oping with just one friend, to me, it makes sense that you could get invaded by 2 people, especially because the frequency when you're not Taunters Tongue is very, very low. If the host can summon 2 cooperators and be invaded by 2 phantoms without Taunters Tongue, I think that that's already a really great state for invasions to be at. And then Taunters Tongue simply kind of ups the frequency and allows for more invaders in your world at once. I would also really like to see it so that if you are Taunters Tongued up, that you can summon up to the maximum amount of red phantoms as well. I think that's something that is really hurting fight clubs. In the way that it currently exists, you need to have at least one co-invader, or excuse me, you need to have at least one cooperator in order to summon more people in. And this is, again, this really holds fight clubs back. I would really like to see them basically change it so that if you have Taunters Tongue on, and assuming, a 6-player limit, that you could go and pick up, let's say, 5 different red signs on the ground, just like, in Dark Souls 3, and we could actually have fight clubs kind of come back. So anyway, those are the kind of systems level changes that I would like to see. If you would like to see some other systems level changes, please let me know in the comments. My next wishlist video is going to be about how I would like to see the end game of Elden Ring change, and how I would like to see PvEers and PvPers encouraged to continue playing the game after they've completed the game in its entirety.
Hello, Tarnished. Consider clicking that like button and absolutely annihilating that subscribe button because the coop is based. Ranny out.